I think a lot of us understand how shitty feeling alone is. I mean, it just sucks. Feeling like you're the only person that really understands you, or no, or you feeling just out of touch with a lot of things. It sucks. I mean, personally, at least personally for me, I hated every second of it, and sometimes I still do because I still get these reoccurring feelings of maybe it is just me, and maybe that I am the only person that really cares about me. And as much as I want to believe that that's not true, because I do have a really good amount of friends, and I do have a good support system around me that's there for me. These feelings aren't something that can just go away, which I think a lot of people take into account with the idea that I can make these feelings go away by being with more people, or I can make these feelings go away by just ignoring them. When in total actuality, we all know that that's just not true. But I think it's also important to acknowledge these feelings. That it's important to acknowledge that these feelings are normal. These feelings aren't unnatural, and it's not something that you should take and be like, "Why am I feeling like this?" But I also don't think it's something that you should discredit from yourself. I don't think you should discredit your feelings. I don't think you should discredit any part of these, and any part of these ideas or these feelings that you have, no matter how depressing or how sad they might be. Because, as I said before, feeling like you're alone sucks. Because at least this is me talking from personal experience. For me, when I had felt alone, or even when I still do, like I can surround myself with as many people as possible, but they don't understand me. They'll be like, "Oh, you can just be around more people, and you won't alone." Like, yes, physically I'm not alone, but emotionally, intellectually, I can't be on the same length as anybody else. Nobody has my experiences. Nobody knows what I'm thinking. Well, I'm the only person that does that because I'm me. My feelings are my feelings. Somebody else can't just solve them for me. That's up to me. And I also don't like I don't like the idea when people say that you should solve your emotions, or you should solve or figure out why you're feeling a certain way, because you're feeling a certain way because it's most likely valid. I think a lot of the times when something happens, we have this idea that, oh, maybe I overreacted, or maybe I did this. If you react a certain way, you react because that's how you feel about it. Nobody else should be telling you that, oh, you overreacted, you underreacted, or anything like that, because they are not you. Maybe that's how they would react, but maybe they just didn't feel as strongly about what it is that you were talking about, or what it is that you got into an argument with. And that's okay. It is okay to not be on the same length as everybody else, or be anywhere with somebody else. But I also think it's really important to figure out maybe why you're feeling that way, or what exactly is going on to the point where you can be like, maybe I feel better, or maybe this is okay. But as I was saying, I think it's extremely important. But I also want to take time to acknowledge that these are real feelings people have, and that these are normal feelings that people have. I'm going to say it again. I don't discredit what you're feeling. Don't feel like you need to be a certain way. Don't feel like you need to do something for somebody else, especially. I've just seen this guy catch a fish. That was sick. But back on topic. I think a lot of us also have this idea that being alone means that we're sad, or being alone means that there's more going on, and a lot of the times it is. But I also don't want us to feel like we need to change that, or that this is something that's an immediate issue, because at least for me, what I personally think, I don't think it's an issue that needs to be solved. I think it's an issue that I think it's an issue that can potentially become unhealthy. And the reason I'm saying that is because, again, anything that we feel as people, anything that we have the ability to feel, or anything that we think is considerate enough to the point where we can have an emotion about it, is normal. It's expected of us because, again, we're people. We're expected to feel. We're expected to want to know. We're expected to do all these things. So why are we discrediting, and why are we trying to dismiss these emotions that we have? And a lot of the times, I think it's because life has perceived it as this negative thing. And yes, negative emotions are inherently negative, but I don't think that they're something that you should dismiss, or I don't think that there's something that you should want to solve immediately with no explanation. I think it's extremely important to figure out exactly why you're feeling this way. I think it's extremely important to understand what's going on and maybe why exactly shit is happening the way it's happening. But take care of yourself when you do that. I mean, personally, for me, I know that I was very dismissing of my feelings, and I thought that I had to be okay. I had to make everybody think I was okay. I had to act like I was this person that I wasn't when I was fucking I was struggling. I just felt like shit 24/7. But I never really acknowledged that I felt like shit because I had put on this idea that I was okay. And I genuinely believed that for a long time until I had taken a step back and I realized, holy fuck, what am I doing? This isn't me. This isn't anything that I am. This isn't anything that represents me. So I think it's also extremely important to understand who you are, why you feel like that, and what exactly is causing it. And to be vocal about it. Be vocal. Please be vocal. Nobody will understand how you're feeling if you do not express it, if you don't tell them. And you will never understand how you're feeling if you never tell yourself. You are so important. Your mental is so important. And anything about you is so important. So please do not take it for granted. Do not dismiss these things for yourself. Do not dismiss anything about it. Do not try and disassociate either. Please. The one thing I do ask is that you take care and you understand who you are, what it is you stand for, and what it is you want people to know. Because that defines you. That is you. So please take care of yourself. But back to when we go back to the issue of this idea of being alone, it sucks. It feels really bad. I wish I had a better term, but that's all I could think of in the moment. But it feels really bad. I don't think I can do justice to how miserable this feeling is. I mean, even when I was at school, I could be surrounded by all my friends, but the second I get home and the second I have any time to think to myself, I just felt like shit. I look back on almost every part of my life that I might have messed up, or even looking at the good parts of life, I see bad because maybe I didn't do this, maybe I didn't do that, or I've done something and I regret it, and I don't know what to do. But I also would like to say that a lot of the times I didn't really want to be understood. I mean, I would have friends there, friends that support me, friends that care, like genuinely care about me. And they would try and give me solutions, and I'll just sit there like, listen, I don't want solutions. I can listen to 100 solutions, and I will not have one of them because that's not what I need. What I need is somebody that is just there. I need someone that's there and cares enough about me to not intervene to the point where I feel like I need to change. And I think that's also an extremely important thing. I think I do genuinely believe that when I feel alone, again, this is speaking for me. When I feel alone, I don't need somebody. I don't have a sign on my back that says "fucking help me." I just want you to understand that I struggle. I'm struggling. I just want you to acknowledge that and be okay with that. I don't want you to think that I need to be this amazing person that's always fantastic 24/7, all smiles, giggles, whatever the fuck you want. I am a person. I struggle. I have bad days. I'm not perfect. I'm never going to be perfect. But I just want you to acknowledge that and I want you to be okay with that. Because once I know that you're okay with that, I can feel comfortable enough to just be all right with how I feel. I think it's really crazy how important other people are when you feel alone. I genuinely do. I think it's insane how like important other people's influences are when it comes to feeling alone or feeling by yourself. Genuinely, I do. It's such a weird concept to think about. The idea that no matter how alone you are, you still are somewhat dependent on other people around you. Because when you feeling alone, and being with people are two very different things. I can be with people who feel alone. That's just a fact. But I think it's also extremely important for people to understand that, you struggle, things happen, and you can't really change that. That's something that's just how it goes. And I think it's also extremely important to not change people because you want them to change. I think it's very important to want the best for that person, but I think it's also extremely considerate to understand that maybe this person doesn't want a solution from me. Maybe this person just wants me to be me, or this person just wants me to act how I normally act because that's who I am. But as I always say, every person is different. No two people are the same unless you're a clone. That's a different topic though. But yeah, I think it's extremely important to be there for people. But I don't want you to be there. I don't want us to be there too much to the point where we involve ourselves or we eh, sort of like push ourselves into their problems. Because it's also important to realize or remember that these problems are these person's problems. The best you can do is what you can give, and what you can give is support and unwavering anything really. Any sort of emotion that you can give them, it's always very important to them. I know it was important to me, but I also think that when we start to feel alone, we have this sense or we have this sense of urgency that we need to be better, like immediately, like that we need to be better, or that we need to change something to make everyone think that we're better. When as I always say, that's just not true. Again, if you want to change, it should always be for yourself. It shouldn't be for the betterment or for the amusement or anything for other people. It should always be because of your decision and that you genuinely feel like this is something that you need to do. But again, I think that a lot of us feel the sense of urgency or that we need to do something or that we need to feel a certain way to be better. When that's not true. It doesn't hurt to stop. It doesn't hurt to take a break. It doesn't hurt to do anything like that. I know for myself, one thing I really, really struggle with is finding time to myself, which is why I'm very thankful for these podcasts and I try to keep up with them as often as I can because it might not seem like it, but these are extremely important to me. This is a time where I can be myself, where I can talk about what I want to talk about, and I don't have to work my ass off 24/7 to do something or to make it by. So I am very happy that I have found some time in my day to take care of myself. But yeah, there isn't anything wrong with taking a break. There's nothing wrong with taking care of yourself because you deserve it. Again, you're worth time and effort. You are worth somebody's time and effort, but you are also worth your own time and effort. I think life just moves so fast to the point where we feel like we have to keep up when we don't. We can take a break. We only have this one life. So I think it's important that we make the most of it. And the only way that we make the most of it is by taking care of ourselves and making sure that we are okay. But I also don't want to discredit the people that do feel very trapped or enclosed in this world. And genuinely do feel like this is just me. And what I say to that is I think a lot of us need to find what exactly it is that is us. Because I remember talking to my friend and he was like, dude, it really is just me. Like at the end of each and every single day, it is just me, which is very true. When I go home, there isn't somebody there that knows me as well as me. And what I told him was that at the end of the day, it might just be us, but that doesn't mean that we can't make ourselves feel happy. It doesn't mean that we have to stop, or it doesn't mean that we have to be this person that just stops doing what it is that they wanted everyone else to think that they were doing. I think it's important to find happiness in who we are. I think it's important to find something that we truly care for, something that we want other people to know about us. Because once we find people that want to be around us for who we actually are and not just this facade or this front that we put up, I think then we find a group of people that will genuinely care for us. And I think once you find a group of people that care for you, sort of transition in this idea of maybe there are other people that care about me, which is extremely important because as I said before, I don't think we should discredit, or I don't think that we should feel poorly about these feelings that we have. But that doesn't mean that we can't healthily get rid of them or healthily move forward with them. I think that's a better word. Because as I always say, they do become it can become unhealthy behavior. This idea of feeling alone obviously can become unhealthy. Because once you truly internalize and believe that you are alone, it is so difficult and it is so stressful and just deteriorating to who you are as a person to try and get out of that. Because once you truly, genuinely, wholeheartedly believe something, it is so difficult to get out of that. Which is why I also ask people to be understanding of other people when they say, listen, I feel alone. You can give me as much support as possible, but I still feel alone. I do not think that there is anybody that can genuinely feel that they are there for me. And as shitty as that is, and as much as that sucks to hear from a person or maybe even yourself, understand that it happens. Recognize that it happens. And the best thing you can do at that moment is tell this person, listen, I understand that you feel that you're alone, but I am here. I will be here. When you need me, I will be here. I am somebody that you can rely on. You do not have to carry this weight by yourself because every single time a person feels like they're by themselves, it's always because they have some weight to carry and they feel like they can't pass it on or that there isn't a stop point or a checkpoint where they can take a break. And it sucks. I know I hated every second of it. I hated knowing that there are people that care for me and I know that they care about me. But I can't genuinely believe that. I remember when I told my friend that they were confused. They had this idea that I don't understand how two things can be true. And usually two things can't be true when they contradict each other. But when it comes to emotions, emotions are such a I don't think that any emotion can really apply to that. Because you're always entitled to how you feel. How you feel will always be valid. But it's strange. It's weird to think that to have knowledge that people care for you, but also understand that you will never fully believe that. Now maybe it's because of something that happened in the past, or maybe that's just how you feel. But please at least recognize that those people are there. Maybe not yet. You're not ready to believe that they care for you or that they want you to be okay. But I think you should be able to recognize that they aren't going anywhere. They are there for you. They want to see you do better. They want to see you be a better person. So please also give them grace the way that they give you grace. But it is an extremely relevant topic as well. I think a lot of people have this feeling, especially adults. I will say I think especially adults have this inherent idea that it is just them. And I think a lot of that also has to do with the fact that they work a lot. And I think I realize that that's a sort of a stupid thing to say, but I think it's very true. I think a lot of adults engulf themselves with work, and that they believe that their whole sole purpose is to just work until they're dead. And in doing that, they don't exactly take time to themselves. They don't do anything for themselves. And I think as poor as it is and healthy as that is, I think it's a very real thing, and I think it's a very normalized thing as well. I also do say this a lot. I think a lot of normalized things are thought to be, oh well, if it's normal, it's okay. When that's just not true, which is important to understand. That just because something is normalized, so just because something happens on a regular occurrence, does not mean that it's healthy. Does not mean that it's okay. It does not mean that it should be okay. Unhealthy behavior is unhealthy behavior, no matter how often it is. And I think that's extremely important to realize and understand. But I think it's also extremely important to understand and be okay with the fact that this is something that's happening. I don't need to do anything. I don't need to change. I don't need to do this. But I think it's I think we should what's the word? I think we should recognize that this is something that's causing a lot of hurt in a lot of people. I think there's an epidemic of people that feel alone. I saw this really basic quote. It was like, in a room full of people, you can still be the only person, and it's very true. It is a very really relevant thing, and I think it also goes for a lot of people because let's go off of this quote that in a room full of people, you can still be the only person, right? That can be the truth for any person in that room because we don't know them. We don't know what they're going through. We don't know how they feel, and we never will unless we vocalize that or unless we're willing to understand another person. Which is why I also think that connections when it comes to being alone is so important. Because I will say a lot of the times we are still around a lot of people when we feel alone, but we don't vocalize it. We don't let other people know that we're struggling because this idea of struggling is something that's frowned upon or it's something that's not normalized when this is something that every fucking person goes through. Everybody struggles. There's not a single person in this world that has not struggled with something. It doesn't have to be a material thing to struggle. It can be an internal, it can be anything. Everybody has struggled with something. You relate on that sense that you have struggled. It might not be to the same extent as somebody else, but you still have. So I think that a lot of us have this idea that we need to stop, that we need to push that away, or we need to dismiss it to the point where it's not relevant in our lives anymore. When this is it, sorry, just please understand. I will always say this: your feelings are valid. You are worth time and effort. Your feelings are your feelings. You are entitled to how you feel. There is nothing wrong with how you feel because that is you. You as a person are as much as just as important as the next person that walks in the door, or in this case, walks along this path that I'm sitting on. But please, it is normal. It is not unnatural to feel like you are by yourself or feel like you are alone. But please do this healthily in the sense that you recognize that you feel this way and that you don't want to feel that way anymore. But in order to do that, you need to recognize that you feel that way to begin with. And you also need to let other people know. Or maybe again, let me not say that this. Maybe you don't have a big circle. Maybe you don't have a circle in general. But learn to be okay with yourself. Learn to understand yourself. Learn to be okay with how you feel, no matter how shitty it is. Because once you start to become okay with yourself and how you feel, you will, I promise you, you will slowly branch out. You will make your connections. You will be a better person. Or let me not say a better person. I'm sure you're a fantastic person. But you will find people that care about you because you are worth the time. You are worth the effort. You are worth everything because you're you. But yeah, just please, if you do feel alone, call somebody, text somebody, even me. My comments are open. But on a real note, please take care of yourself. Be okay with yourself to begin with. And I promise you, you will crack a smile if you learn to be all right with who you are. But thank you very much for listening. I appreciate it every single time. Anytime I get a stream, I appreciate it so much. Thank you all so much. God bless.